All right, and good morning to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive safe, Dave here. Not running hazmat, not running it on this road, not running it anywhere that it has this sign, no hazmat. Drive safe, Dave here, along with Sir Rick, manning the boards, doing it over there, doing the technical aspect. How you doing over there, Sir Rick?
Doing all right. I feel like we got a big delay over here. Not sure what the deal is, but it seems like, watching you on film here, looks like you got a delay, like we're going over the internet, like web, like Wi-Fi, but we're not.
We're bouncing off a satellite and coming back.
It doesn't look right, Drive Safe Dave. I expect, I'm going to look here. I'm going to go here.
Oh, wow, there is.
You look okay in general. Not a big delay.
Big fan. I know you're a big fan, so I look okay.
Hey, we had one viewer, now we're down to 0. I just logged out.
We're down to... Wow. We got a little bit of short coming in a little bit later today, trying to figure out some technical aspects, but other than that, doing okay. Okay, so I was reading in the story. Did you see the story, Sir Rick, about the guy getting on an airplane coming back from the Dominican Republic with the wheelchair into North?
I think he was just from the Dominican, right? Or was he traveling there and coming back?
No, he said he was a citizen of the United States and lived here. But he came here, he came back from Dominican Republic, and he was in a wheelchair, and they found, 26 pounds of cocaine in the wheelchair. And the reason they stopped him is they were like, okay, you're in a wheelchair because why? And I think he had his arm in a cast. I mean, he didn't have the right thing.
All I gotta say is, if you're thinking about bringing in some drugs, you're thinking about doing something illegal,
have a good story.
Have a good story. Maybe go through a little pre-plan.
Practice.
What am I gonna say when they ask me this question? I wonder, did he freeze? He came in the wheelchair and he's like, all right, my legs, I can't walk. What happened to you? What's wrong with you, sir? Why are you in a wheelchair? My arm hurts. Did he freeze up?
They were like,
no,
that's
I didn't just say my arm hurt.
That's what they were saying. The TSA guys were like, okay, so you're in a wheelchair because why? And
I don't know if he said, maybe he started it off right. Maybe he was like, yeah, you know what, my legs are paralyzed. And they go, well, come on, stand up. Let me check you out real quick. And he stood up.
And he stood in the deal like this.
I've been healed. Lord Jesus, I've been healed.
He's standing in the machine. He goes, I've been through this before. And he gets up in there, and then he goes back to his chair, and they're probably going, what?
I tell you, between that and you think about the drugs that get smuggled over, and I know there's so much that gets through.
Oh yeah, it has to.
The ones that get caught, I mean, maybe they're running decoy. Some of these guys that do this, maybe they run decoy because they're so bad, so obvious. Maybe he was part of it.
Let's put Gary on it. Yeah. He has no idea what he's doing, and the other 9 people on the plane are good to go. But Gary, he will so mess this up. And if Gary gets through, we're all good.
That's what I'm wondering. Did somebody just take it? They're like, look at this clown. Meanwhile, the other real guys with all of the 50 pounds, they're all.
Oh yeah, they're all. Yeah. They all make it through.
Woo!
But I don't. Yeah, I think you're right. I think the fact that you just don't have a good story. I mean, everybody's looking at each other like, okay, maybe we need to check this guy out, right? He had on like activewear and sneakers and like he had on like jogging outfit, and I don't know. I just don't know. But anyway, they said that was the deal. And then the other thing that I saw, what was pretty. Did you read that story on? Did you hear about that story on that loan scam? They busted that guy out in California.
Yeah, you know what? And that's been going on for a little while, right? I mean, you got a pandemic hits, first of all,
free money coming
those folks that had shell companies, those folks that were already doing things probably illegal right now,
right.
Laundering, boy, they found a great way to really hone in and grab. He grabbed nearly $6 million of loan forgiveness. You know what? He got the money, first of all, And I'm thinking, all right, you got the money. Maybe you just boogie, you run. But then he goes the next step, and he wants to get it all forgiven.
Yeah,
You know, so-
I got all these employees all over the country, and of course the IRS is going to look at it and go, "What employees? What payroll? What payroll?"
I don't know. You know, I'm telling you, I think that, again,
You think it was snitched out?
I just don't think, I really do wonder. I mean, how many people got away? You know what? If you got away with some of that loan forgiveness, hey, give us a call. We want to know how you did that part. You know what?
What is that?
I just think there's so
the
many
admission
people-
line? Hey, if you got away with a felony, just call us. Let us know how you did it. So
Hey, you know what? We can drive safe. You know what? We can protect them, though. That I can tell you. You know what, Dave? And I know before you know.
What do you do that?
There you go, right there.
All right.
So we have a caller on. Hey, we have somebody here on with us today that got away with some of that loan forgiveness. Hey, sir, talk to us about how you did that.
Yeah, I basically what I did is I lied. I just straight up lied and told them I had 10,000 employees.
You know,
I was protecting my voice. You know,
but he went to like 12 employees. I mean, he wasn't, he didn't go crazy. I'm thinking, you know what? Certainly you can make you only had to do 12, like 5 different companies, 60 employees. Certainly you could have lied a little better, got some correct addresses, maybe done a little research on that. Because I mean it was $6 million and you know, just again it's those shell companies he's got and he tried to boogie to Mexico.
Well, once he found out they were onto him, he tried.
they're
Yeah,
onto him. Hey, sir, you've been subpoenaed. Where are you at? You know, hey, sir, we need knocking on your door.
Yeah, yeah.
They're looking for you.
And you're standing with the suitcase at the airport, and they walk up to you. You know, you're pretty much caught.
Yeah, that's when you get in the back of the wheelchair and join your buddy.
Yeah, you get back in the wheelchair. You have a panic attack, or you have an attack right there. I'll tell you. It is, it's crazy some of the things that people do, but let's talk about it. Let's be honest. How many people actually do you think got away with fraud?
Oh, Dave, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm telling you, during that period there, they're going to keep going. There's no chance they're going to get them all. I'm going to go, you know, how much money did we really give away during that period?
Trillions, right?
Give me an amount. Give me other than trillions. We all knew that part. I mean, after the first giveaway, it was trillions. Well, what was the total trillions given? You know,
3 trillion, right? I think it was
6 trillion. Okay,
oh.
6 trillion got given away. There's probably I'm gonna go $10 billion of fraud.
Oh, that's pennies on that. That's you're
So
talking
it's not
about.
bad. So, yeah,
you're not even talking about a
it's not
percentage.
even worth looking at.
Yeah, that's that's not even 1%. That's
you know what? Here's what I'm asking though. You know what?
That's not
Let's
even.
forgive those folks, just like we're gonna forgive the college students' loans too.
Oh, I know.
Let's just get into this. You know what? All of a sudden, everybody wants to be God. That's what I'm saying, right? Oh, you're forgiven. Your loans are forgiven. You know, we already have the presidential pardons, you know, where you pardon these guys for. And Dave, can they pardon for anything?
The president can.
Anything.
Yes.
Anything.
Yes.
God.
The president can pardon any commute, any sentence. He can pardon any crime.
Anything.
Any crime, all the way up to treason.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Treason, it doesn't matter. He can pardon any crime.
Wow.
He can commute any sentence. In the.
I would do. That's what I would. I would run for president. I would put my reputation on getting out there how bad of a person I really am. Right to take it out there, honey. I'm sorry. You know, a lot of things are going to come out of the closet here. But I would run for president, Dave, just to have that ability to do that pardon. I would pardon some bad dudes.
What? Why
Bad.
would you pardon
'Cause I
some
could.
bad actors?
I could, man. I'm just
We
saying.
finally got them locked up. Spent all that money for a trial. Made a. So what? And when you say bad, I mean
Dave,
there's
you know
bad,
what? History,
and then there's
All I
bad.
gotta say is I would do it for you because history repeats itself. You know what? It happened on the cross, right? They let the worst dude go and put Jesus on that.
Wow.
The worst dude. So
Wow.
I'm gonna make it happen for you, Dave.
Pontius Pilate, right here. Wash his. You're just gonna wash your hands of it.
I'm gonna allow your history to happen. So I will jump into this. So we started off the week, Drive Safe Dave.
Come on.
And here we go. We started off the week, and it jumped back over 13,000. However, it always does that first day because you hit the Friday. So now is, as we go into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, into next week, here comes the critical moments right now that we're going to see.
Right.
But, freight did jump up at least. That's a good sign. That means that what was left throughout the holiday and what finally got shipped
scooped up.
coming back, it all ended up shipping out.
Yeah.
That's great news. So it did. It hopped back over strong over 13,000, like 13.5. So strong number to begin the week with, which is what we had to see for it to even stay at the 13,000 mark. Now's the big thing, Dave. Typically in the history, it will drop now automatically 4%. So we'll see a 4% drop in freight through, but that's after every holiday. After every holiday, that Monday, Tuesday, it goes way up here, and then it drops back. It starts to normalize, right?
Right.
We're back shipping. No more weekend freight. No more holiday in the quarter. None of that. That stuff's all shipped out. So now comes,
It's been sitting there.
Now comes the day that we start seeing this. Now we begin to see
if it levels off or a continued downward trend.
Yes, and so curious on that. I will say that one thing that went up again, and so the DOE came out. Dave, the Department of Energy puts out fuel. They do it for diesel, they do it for gas, they do it for everything.
Correct.
Yesterday, it hit a new record on diesel. The DOE came out.
What was it?
It was like 570.
Yeah, that's
it. Was a high. It was higher than it had. We've seen like a 4-week fallback on the fuel where it came back down. It goes back up on that DOE. That means those shippers, those folks that saw a little reprieve, you buying fuel at the pump saw a little reprieve. It went back up again to a record high. I think we've had like 6, 7, 8 records broke this year.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw this or not. There was some reporting to Congress. I saw, I think it was Flying J was out at Congress reporting to Congress on some trade practices that they were having issues with.
Flying J, is this the same Flying J that had all the rip-offs that got their CEO got sued?
Yeah,
got
same one.
Same
one.
So
same one. Pilot Flying J.
Now
Pilot
he's
Flying
in
J.
Congress. Now they're back to being honest Flying J. You know what? This is the honest group.
Well,
here.
one of the things that they were reporting, they do like 20% of sales.
Honor amongst thieves.
Yeah, they do like 20% of the sales of all diesel in the United States. Through the Pilot and the Flying J. But anyway, they were reporting to Congress that BNSF was going to restrict their trade, going to restrict their rail car usage into the Southwest and different parts of the region of the country that would critically cripple those areas through them with they do 30% of all DEF in the United States. So they saying it was going to critically affect they're able to output and also create more shortages and greater fuel pricing throughout the United States. So that also was something that was pretty eyebrow raising to know that was going to occur and that it was only being done drastically to them in a disproportionate way than across the board. So I'm not sure how that played out during that meeting, but I listened to them and they were crying foul. Hey, they're doing it to me, but they were also saying how much it may impact the price of fuel in different regions of the country because they won't be able to get it there because, a lot of that runs on rail car to those remote, like Arizona and parts of California and stuff like that.
I want to give you something here. Throughout all that, all I heard was you talk like super, super fast that last like 25 words. Like, honest to God, you had rapping going on there.
Did I really?
Rapping about, it was amazingly fast. It was like, I heard you talk in person. I was looking and said, man, are we having problems with the feed again? I looked up and it's just you talking. I was like, oh my God, that was fast. That was impressive. It was like you're almost raffling off something, an auctioneer. Drive Safe, have you ever, could you auction something off?
I don't know. I've never tried.
Let's do this. Sell me something. Go ahead. Sell me like 8 things.
5, 10, give me 15, 15, 15, give me 20, 20, 21, 20, twice, 20, 21, okay, got you 20 right over there, okay, 25, going 20, going once, going twice, 25, last call, sold, $25.
You got it. That wasn't bad. Those guys could talk.
Are
they really saying anything, or are they saying the same thing over here?
You know what, I can't understand them. I've been... Huh?
Safe Station Nation, Safe Station of the Nation. They're just saying the same thing over and over and over.
Maybe they're doing some some subconscious messages in there so that we can get that across. So anyway, I no, I can't do it. I don't know that I
It
can.
wasn't a bad deal. It wasn't bad drive safe at all. Hey, we did have Cassie lined up. Tassie lined up with us today.
I saw that.
She was going to be on here. We can't get her back on the studio right now. I think we've got everything ready. Tassie, if you're out there, I know I'm texting you as well. If you can log back in, you should be able to get back in the studio again. It's open for business. You know, it's ready for you. Come on, don't be afraid. You know, we are gonna show so Tassie, Dave, and we'll have her on. If she's not on today, we'll get her back on.
Absolutely.
Here again. But it's the training, you know, through Reliant on some of these you know, just not the autonomous vehicles. What's that called?
Simulators.
The simulators. The truck
Yeah,
simulators,
absolutely.
Dave, and you know, one of the things they talk about, and that I do. First of all, to see a simulator works amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I know we have a lot of folks out there. We have, you know, we broadcast to people that have the simulators as well. And what she'll talk about is, okay, the amount of training that goes into the trainer. And she's not trying to discredit the simulators. Simulators are so valuable, but Drive Safe Dave, when you know the simulator, if you're my simulator instructor, understand you don't have nothing else. In theory, you wouldn't have anything else but that time to do that. You've got to go through training. You got to learn how to get all those different setups because it can do everything.
Right.
You know, every truck.
I'm sure
every
it's
make,
a.
every model,
Oh yeah, it's not a game.
And then Drive Safe Dave calls in sick, and now what do? You know, you're kind of like what we do on the show, right? I mean, you kind of piece it together. You just give it the best.
Well, I hope that if the brain surgeon doesn't show up, you just don't go ahead and jump in there and commit. You know, go okay, next guy up. Let's try some different brain surgery.
Yeah, but so the problem is when the brain surgeon finds another job, because now the brain surgeon Drive Safe Dave. He's also certified in this. He becomes a more valuable commodity out there in the market. I hire that brain surgeon. Now we're stuck with somebody else like me running the board. Right now, I got to figure it out, and all of a sudden you lose focus on all that training. Right? You don't have that ability to train them the right way, to put the test the right way, to do all of these things. And kind of one of the things they offer is that ability that says, hey, you know what? How about we bring our simulators to you? Stay 3, 4, 5 days. You do a controlled training period in which you get value on it. Or if you have one, maybe we can come in and we become those trainers when it is. So there's a lot of interesting things when it comes to what they do, the services they provide. Dave, one thing we've seen at many of these schools is what those simulators bring to our market is absolutely crazy, phenomenal, good technology. Because Dave, you don't want to have somebody out there and all right, let's go over the old tire puncture, you know, on your yard. How many companies, Dave? How many companies have something like
a skid pad
that you run over so it blows the steer tire? All right, let me see how you do this.
Okay, so here it is. This is every scenario. All right, we're going to start a jackknife, and I want you to get it under control.
Can we do that again, please?
No, there's no. I mean, they can offer so many scenarios, real life scenarios that you can't simulate, that you can talk about in the classroom, that you can talk about when you're standing there at the truck, but you can't experience them in real time with any sense of without danger. These simulators create that moment, that scenario where you do have the jackknife happening, and what do you do, and how do you correct, and what can you do, and things like that. You know, the blown steer tire. How do you react accordingly? How can you do it well? And you know what? How is training not valuable in that instance? How does it not save lives? How does it not create a better driver all around? And even an experienced driver, been out there 20 years, may never have had a jackknife moment. May never have had one go sideways. Yeah. So, I mean, I
get that, Dave, right? I mean, how do you train for that part right there? When I eventually have that sin, how am I going to react? Right?
Exactly,
I mean,
exactly.
I get that part. You know what? You've been perfect for so long. When you make that mistake, how are you going to react to it?
Yeah, or it's not even something you've done wrong. It's just something that occurs. You're going down a hill, and it's icy, and you're going slow, and the next thing you know, your right mirror fills up with a trailer. I mean, it's just a scary moment. How do you react accordingly? What is it you do? What's the critical point? When do you know it's no longer repairable? When do you make that call? I mean, you know what I'm saying? There are so many things that you got to, and I'll tell you what the simulator brings to the table on an imaginable number of scenarios that can be done, talked about, trained on, and be prepared for. You know, I think genuinely, no matter what it is, whether it's distracted driving or whether it's reacting accordingly, it's a lot of it has to do with training.
Yes, sir. Hey, Drive Safe, we're going to take a quick break. As a matter of fact, this next message is brought to you by Drive Safe Dave, as he is promoting a little BCB Live. Drive Safe. Appreciate you doing that. And here's Drive Safe Dave wearing his one-way shirt.
Hi, this is David Dover, also known as Drive Safe Dave. You are watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Safety is what you want to talk about,
really not much.
and safety is what you want to be every single day. That's what we're here for. We're here to make it better.
The industry needs BCB Live so that it can find new and inventive ways to bring safety to the forefront for every single person out there on the road. You got to be prepared to stop, and when you look at that and you understand the situation that you're in, you got to know that it's going to change. You got to expect it to change, and you can't run those lights. You can watch BCB Live weekdays, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. So what are you waiting for? Follow and subscribe to BCB Live today. All right, and we are back. Drive Safe Dave here, promoting BCB Live. Why? Because it is the safest station in the nation.
Yeah, Dave, when you think about the safest station in the nation, let's talk about that for a minute, and then let's talk about a couple other things. So the first thing I want to talk about is, I think it was yesterday. I was driving up 287. It was Sunday. Yeah, it was Sunday. Sunday I was driving up 287. And there was a Swift truck pulled over the side of the road, right off here off 287. Had a blown tire. We saw the carcass in the road and everything. It was on the side of the road at 10 o'clock in the morning. At like 1:30 or 2, the truck had I think it was Love's or the road service had just gotten there at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
4 hours.
4 hours. And Dave, when we think about safest station, that so in my mind, I saw that, and it could have just blown. It's totally possible, right? I mean, it
Absolutely.
didn't blow, and that couldn't have. I mean, it blew.
Came apart.
And my original thing and thought process on that is, okay, well, did the driver give him or herself a fighting chance for this day? Did they look at it and take a shortcut? Did they look at it and do that pre-trip? Take a look at that tire, Dave. We're in, it's not even the heat of summer yet, but does that trailer have recaps? I think as a driver, Dave, talk to me a minute about that. I mean, how much time? And I get it, right? We're always in a rush to do all these things, and how much time though? And when you're in a rush, Dave, do you give it the time that it's needed to do that pre-trip? Are you really looking at that trailer or that truck to see? Does it have recaps? Do you even know how to Do you even know how to know if it was, if it is a casing on that, or is it a brand new tire? All these things. But Dave, when you're running late, you pick up that trailer, you get going. I mean, there are times, unfortunately, that you just feel like you can't do it. You don't have time. You've got to make up time, and this is 15 minutes you can make up.
Yeah, that is a true problem, and we got to be honest with ourselves about how it works. I will tell you, if you do, when you and we're not talking about just starting your day, because every time you pick up a trailer, you got to pre-trip it, and if you drop it, you grab another one, you got to pre-trip it. You got to take the time, and I'll tell you, Rick, no matter what we've discussed, and no matter what we've done here, and no matter how we've talked about it, there is in there somewhere the ideology that what we do in trucking doesn't allow for hurry up, doesn't allow for running late, doesn't allow for that moment in which you're in a hurry, or that mindset that you're in a hurry. Because it doesn't matter if you're doing the pre-trip and you're in a hurry, or if you're driving the truck and you're in a hurry, or you're backing it up, or you're doing your paperwork. It seems that no matter what you do in a hurry in this business, in the trucking industry, when it comes to those big machines, it always it typically has a potential to end in disaster for you, no matter what it is, whether it be that pre-trip moment, whether it be driving the truck, whether it be doing any of these other things. And I just want you to understand that mindset, I'm in a hurry, I'm running late, I have this in my brain that there's something wrong, that I have to speed up my processes and make allowances to catch up time, is always going to basically in the end create disaster, create a difficult moment.
Dave, if you know, for those that don't know, Dave was drove for many years out there on the road. Dave, I mean, obviously there were times you didn't do a pre-trip or post-trip, and right, that was but
yeah, I'm gonna agree. I'm
gonna
be honest. Yeah, that happened.
Did you do it sometimes, and why would you do it sometimes and not all the time?
Let's just say, for instance, it just depends. Now, when like pulling a dry box, it was a little bit different than pulling a flatbed, because for some reason, it didn't matter if it was rain or something. You went out and looked at it because it was always scary. You never wanted to lose the load off the side of the truck. But there were times when I did when I went out post-trip the truck or what have you, and then I got up early in the morning and it was raining or whatever, I may have gotten out on the road and just checked the engine and not walked back there or done around because it was pouring down rain. There were moments that, I probably made genuine shortcuts in doing the right thing. Maybe done it later when I was under the fuel island, looking at it when it was, when I was.
But I get that. So I'm going to say, for the driver out there, listen, if it's pouring down raining, I know we're going to tell you to do a pre-trip, and a lot of you, some of you are going to go out and do it. I'm talking a torrential downpour.
Correct.
Others are just going to get going on that. And, first of all, there's no doubt that that's the wrong thing to do, because you're still taking a chance.
Absolutely.
Right?
100%.
Are you really? But and when you think about it like that, if you don't do a pre-trip, are you really taking the chance of somebody's life, your own life? Are you really taking that chance if you don't do it every single time? Or if you do it 70% of the time, are you really doing enough? If you did a post-trip, why do you really have to do a pre-trip?
Yeah, no, you have to do it. Things can change.
Well, why is that, though?
Things can change. Things can change even while you were asleep overnight. Things can change. That nail that you got in the tire that you got over right before you parked, it hadn't drained that tire yet. And then you're starting out with a flat tire if you didn't go back there and look, because it did leak all the air out while you were sleeping. Things happen. People do bad things. They open up your trailer. They pull the pin on your trailer. They do crazy, insane things at the truck stop that don't make any sense, and you've got to be genuinely prepared. They may have even busted into your tanks. They may have even grabbed fuel. They may have, fuel's such a priceless thing right now that they may have tried to steal fuel from you. They may have damaged your vehicle without you knowing while you were sleeping. All of these things are real. They happen for real, and you should know your truck. You should know what's going on out there. And this guy with the truck tire, that's where the rubber meets the road. That's how you stop. That's your friction. That's how you drive. That's how you steer. That's how you do everything out there on the road.
So you're saying all that, Dave, but you admitted it. And again, I get it, right? How do you do it every single time? But every time you don't do it, even when you're past, you really were, when you think of it, you're gambling with your life.
100%.
Wow. When you think...
100%.
And you're
and then sit in the truck and you're going down the road and you feel guilty about it until you do look at it. Because you do it on a regular basis, and you knew that it was pouring down rain, and you found, I don't know how, but you find a way to pull over somewhere and check your equipment out without you know what I mean? You can't do it. When you do it regularly, you find a way to look it over. I'm saying there are times, and you feel guilty about it. I'll tell you, running flat, I could not live with myself if I didn't go look at the tarp load or look at the load and check the straps because I was scared to death that something would fall off and kill somebody. But that applies the same. It doesn't matter what you're pulling. It applies to the flatbed. It applies to the reefer. It applies to the dry box. It applies to all of it out there. You've got to check that equipment. How would you feel if the airplane pilot didn't look at his airplane whether it was raining or not? How would you feel if he didn't inspect it?
Yeah, no, agree. And while you don't like those delays, you appreciate the fact that they didn't leave with it, right?
Absolutely. No, I get it.
You know what? When we land, we'll worry about the landing gear.
Yeah, they don't do that.
Yeah, you get it. They address it right there. But Dave, we tend to, not all of us, but it happens, right? We get in the truck and leave. Dave, you're part of a trucking company as well, and when you go out there and if you look at that yard, there are trailers that have been dropped that obviously weren't pre or post tripped, and let's talk about that side now. I mean, if you know there's a pilot out there, Dave, that's not doing his pre-trip on the plane, and you're aware of that, I mean, do you allow that pilot to continue flying?
No, it should be addressed immediately. I mean, it should be
because he's taking a chance with the equipment. He's taking a chance on all those lives in that plane. And when a pilot does that, Dave, you know, those planes will have how many people in it?
They can go anywhere from 30 to 300.
Yeah, let's call it 300 people, 200 people in there.
Yeah.
There's that pilot, when they don't do that pre-trip, if they were just to get in there and fly, they really are taking. Now they may land, everything's perfect, right? But they're taking a chance on the lives of 300, 250 people. When a driver doesn't do a pre-trip or a post-trip, when a driver gets in that truck and just leaves, I mean, how many people in that 600-mile day are they seeing? How many are they passing?
Oh, there's no.
How many are passing them on both sides? And I'm talking about the 2-lane highway. I'm talking about all these. Thousands.
I'm gonna
Thousands,
attribute.
Dave.
I'm gonna attribute this. Believe it or not, flying is probably the safest way to travel, without question, because of that kind of that kind of attention to detail on the equipment and the machine and the man behind the steering wheel. There are so many checks and balances required for that to be, and it's monitored all the time. But I'm telling you, flying is probably the safest way to travel because of the attention to detail on their equipment and their attention to detail on the pilot, their attention to detail on the crew, their attention to detail where they go and what they do and how well they're planned. And if it's not safe to go, they're grounded, right, Sir Rick? I mean, there's no second guessing it. There's no, hey, if you get it there, we'll give you a bonus. There's no, hey, there's no, man, I just got to push it through the night. There's none of that. There's none of that. And if we could apply that same mentality to this industry as well, I think we would all benefit and it would become a much safer industry.
Okay, Dave, but to you, that one that can do something about that, to the operations folks, to the safety folks that can do something, what do you do about that when you catch that? I mean, how do we stop it? I mean, we have an ability to stop it.
We do.
Right? I mean, the airlines don't just keep allowing pilots to fly. I mean,
no.
And I'm sure they don't get one chance on that, but when they don't do it, and let's just say they would get, okay, do you understand you're supposed to walk around these planes? You understand there's people's lives at stake here. Dave, as pilots of our vehicles, as pilots of these trucks, why don't we have that same mentality? Or why do we, let's just call us air traffic controllers, those that see these things happening, why do we allow driver A just to keep driving, even though we've sat there and watched them not do that pre-trip? We sat there and they didn't do it, Dave. I mean, are we that desperate for drivers? Are we that desperate to stay away from confrontation? Are we that ignorant of the safety that's related in the industry that this person, if they get on the road, that they really are taking a chance? And Dave, as part of a company, if you had that happen to you, and there's, just say they go to video and there's a video of Dave out there that day, it's just worst case scenario. Do you think you're going to be liable, that company's liable for allowing somebody to continually go out there and fly that truck, fly that plane, endanger the lives of others without doing anything?
Yeah, no, I mean, it is on all of us to do everything that we can to make it to go out there and be safe. It is without question necessary. I'm responsible, 100% responsible.
But we all are. I mean, other pilots. If you're another pilot out there, and Dave, you're flying next to somebody else that keeps that's just doing unsafe things in
Right.
the air, right? Just,
Absolutely.
You know what you watch them, you talk to them, they're doing unsafe. I mean, don't you as a pilot have some kind of responsibility as well to talk about that other pilot out there on the that's drinking, perhaps, right?
Oh, 100%.
That pilot that's drinking, the pilot that's doing drugs. As a driver, don't they have that same responsibility to put that same emphasis on their industry, those pilots of the truck?
Absolutely. I mean, every one of us is responsible, and it doesn't matter if something's going on, and it doesn't matter if you're a 4-wheeler or if you're an 18-wheeler or if you're it doesn't matter if you see something bad, say something good. I mean, if you have an opportunity to make a change, and there are times when you may get out there and you're driving a 4-wheel vehicle, Rick, and you're driving down the road, and the truck in front of you is swerving erratically and not doing well. We don't know what's going on in the truck. It doesn't matter if you're another 18-wheeler. I tell you what, 18-wheeler will call 911 or should, but every single person that has an opportunity to affect that situation immediately should dial 911 and find out. It may be a fatigue issue, right? It may be or it might be a low blood sugar issue. It might be a dangerous moment for the driver. It might be something, but it needs to be addressed, and we all have an opportunity to fix that by dialing 911 or making a change. And I do think it's important that drivers communicate with one another. They communicate with dispatch, and they communicate with anything that they see that may be wrong. It's necessary, and you know what? It's not a closed system in a vacuum. You know, it's not just you and your truck. If you're out walking a yard, or if you're out driving and you see something wrong to the trailer next to you and it's missing 3 tires or 3 wheels, and that's not your trailer for the day, it is incumbent upon you to say something. You know what I mean? It is incumbent upon you to see something that may be a dangerous situation or something like that, right?
Yeah, I agree for certain. The other side of that says, well, when that pilot gets there, when they get into that, they pull that, they're probably, not probably, if they're doing their job,
Yep.
They're also going to report that damage as well and get it fixed. Now, and to your point, Dave, you're saying, that certainly would allow another on-time departure if we got them fixed before.
Absolutely.
When we see things like that. I agree 100% on that. I think, Dave, when I sit and think about it, I mean, have we devalued the name of our industry? And what I'm saying to that is that you think about a pilot. I mean, they're a whole. They have the wings, and they're a pilot. I mean, they get looked at when they get the plane. They're in charge of a lot of lives. But we just said here, the pilot of these trucks, boy, they're in charge of a lot more lives than that pilot of that plane will ever see. They're traveling up and down that road. They're actually, they have the ability to affect a lot of lives as well, up and down that road every single day. And Dave is do you think that the pre-trip, the post-trip, do you think that the unsafe driver today, let's just go to that. Do you think that that's more of because we hear it all the time. We hear that it's the new drivers. You know what? All they are steering wheel holders and all of that. Do you think the new driver is doing the pre-trip as opposed to the older driver? Or or how do you think that turns? In what you've seen. Who's doing it? Who's not doing it?
The person that doesn't care, and it doesn't, and I don't think it's relegated to the new driver. I don't think it's relegated to the old driver. I don't think it's relegated. I think it's to the person that doesn't care or thinks they know. I think the new driver may not see as much or understand as much as the older driver in regards to the equipment or knowing what may or the way the engine sounds or that kind of information. But it all boils down to the character and the individual, and I don't think it's relegated to the new driver. I think I've seen some great new drivers out there doing everything they can to make sure it's right because they were trained that way and they're sticking to their training. And some of the bad habits went on to the older driver and he's bypassed. And then there's some older drivers that are out there that are still doing it and learn from their past and doing it better than ever before. I just think it's the individual. I think it's their character, and I think it has a lot to do with themselves doing and understanding the importance of their job out there, not just getting the load from point A to point B. I think that's where the industry has been for Rick, and you and I have to agree on this. That's where the industry has been for since the beginning. That getting it from point A to point B was the primary concern. It didn't matter how or when it has only changed over the last, I think, dramatically over the last 25 years, dramatically.
Yeah, and I do think this, Dave. I think that on our side of the truck, we have the drivers that do the pre-trip, the post-trip. On our side of the truck, and that's every trucking company out there, lies the rest of the responsibility to make sure that it happens.
Yep.
And I think that we, the trucking companies, we, the safety companies, we, the maintenance companies, we, the dispatchers, we, the owners of trucking companies, we are the ones that, Dave, I think, shield a lot of that fault on that, the blame on that side, because we are the ones that allow it to happen. We're the ones that allow drivers to come into our own yards, to drop trailers in our own yards that aren't fit to be dropped. We're the same ones that allow drivers to leave our yards without doing a proper pre-trip on a trailer. While the drivers can do that side of it, Dave, and they should do that pre-trip, I'm saying, well, don't we have some kind of responsibility to make sure that they are doing it? I mean, you don't go to many places, Dave, and you don't go to Sam's and there's nobody there checking the receipt it's not just honor system. I'm going to trust that you're going to pay for that, right? I mean, I don't see that. I mean, you don't go to the bank and there's just wads of cash sitting there.
You take your own.
Hey, just don't go over. You only have $1,000 in the bank, so don't take $10 million. There's none of that happens yet. We on our side, we in the trucking industry, we put that fault on the driver, saying, you know what, they're supposed to do a pre-trip, they're supposed to do a post-trip. Well, it's in their job, they signed off on the thing. I mean, let's just stop that for a second and let's go back to what we are. I mean, what are we doing to help hold them accountable? Because many folks need to be held accountable. Otherwise, you're not going to do it.
Yeah, I think accountability is something that we all
everything, not just truck drivers.
Yeah.
I'm saying the bank, the Sam's, they got to check that receipt to help hold you accountable, because you may start with a 12-pack of Pringles and then it turns into 15 briskets. But they've got to help hold us accountable, right? That's kind of what I'm saying is when do we on our side, the trucking side, help hold them accountable to make them better at what they're doing, to ensure that they're absolutely doing their pre and post trip right? Because don't we, Dave, if something happens on that highway, and again, what I saw in 287 was a blown tire, now there's crap all over the road, and you don't know how that's going to affect drivers as well, right? As they try to avoid, the gators and everything hanging out in the road.
Yep.
But don't we owe it to the community, to our country, to the world, to these roads, to make sure that we are putting on the best equipment on the road?
Yeah.
And not just saying that the driver checked it, so it should have been good.
Yeah, that's yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything that we can do, we should do, and I agree with you 100%. We should continue to train. I mean, I think you should continue to train.
How do we do that? I mean, so we say that we should. Again, how do we turn shoulds into IMs? Shoulds into we are. Because Dave, I mean, right now, if we should do that, well, that may mean, Dave, I've got to let a driver go, and in a industry that's marred still with driver shortage, with equipment shortage, the last thing you want to do now is you finally got that truck in is not have it filled with a seat. I mean, how do you begin to do that? Because another company's just going to hire that driver.
And the same process is going to start over again in a different. That's a great question. I think that's been going on for a long time. I mean, I think that's happened a great deal.
How do you do that? So why would you do that? Let me go that way. Why would you do that if you're gonna end up with 25 unseated trucks out there in the yard, 300 unseated trucks out there in the yard, and those drivers are just going to go somewhere else because another company's just going to hire them? So, Dave, when do you? I mean, it's easy to say place safety above everything, but when safety makes you go broke,
yep.
How do you still do that? And you're not allowed to say that's a great question. I'm asking you a question.
I think, in my opinion, and I know it's crazy.
It's okay to give opinions, Dave. It's
Don't
okay.
what?
It's okay.
I think training. I think no matter what you do, you continue and focus on training. If we're going to make a change about people out there about cell phones and distracted driving, it has to be training. It has to be education. If you're going to make a change with people out there, with drug use, I don't think it just comes up by just busting the used dealers. I think it has to do with education, and I think it has to do with knowledge of what's going on. I think a lot of the problems that we encounter, I think training and education is necessary if you're going to want to affect change in people. And I truly believe that no matter what social ills, social qualms, or social problems are out there, I think a lot of it has to do with education and training. It doesn't matter where you want to tackle that problem in society, if you want to tackle it in the industry, if you want to tackle, I think that if you're worried about the 25 trucks, and I know you are being empty, or the 300 trucks being empty, then I think you should go after the training and put some money into the training and put some money into saving the people that can be saved and retrained. People can be trained to do the right thing. People can be educated to do the right thing. People can be shown to do the right thing. I think we got to give ourselves credit that this industry is important enough to invest in people, invest in what they do, and invest in how they do it. And I truly believe what we're talking about is investing in the people that you're talking about may or may not be a problem.
Yeah, I think people in general, Dave, again, I'm a big believer that nobody wants to wake up and just do a crappy job.
Agreed.
I mean, it's just not who we are. We don't wake up and say, you know what, I'm going to be late on the rest of my loads all week. I'm gonna hit somebody. I mean, we just, in general,
we don't.
That's not what happens
No,
on that. So, Dave, sometimes, certain employees, it doesn't matter if it's any employee in anything. We're talking about drivers in this thing. Sometimes they become better. They become better when they're held accountable, and not just them, but when their fellow driver is also being held accountable. Because, Dave, it's frustrating to a driver when they are always the one that's calling in that pre-trip. When they're the ones that have to wait every time to get that tire fixed, to get that hose fixed, to get that light fixed. It's frustrating to that veteran driver, to that new driver, to that driver that really does care about safety, to keep doing these pre-trips when nobody else in their minds are doing it, right? Because they keep finding those same equipment. And Dave, that's the part there that we have got to hold others accountable to keep many drivers from doing their job, to encourage them to keep doing their job, because Dave, it gets frustrating out there. You know that when I mean, at some point you're like, screw it, I'm gone. I'm not going to post here, but nobody else ever does it.
Yeah. I think, and I'll tell you, and you can probably relate to this in sports. I can relate to this in the military. Team building exercise and understanding how important it is you are to the team is necessary in order for the success of the team, no matter what you do. And I think those instances and those motivations come when you realize that you are responsible to the person next to you, and you are responsible to the people that you work with. And that, you know what, I find that in those situations, people excel when they understand how important their value is to the next individual, and the next individual is to them. I can tell you that it becomes a greater purpose when you find yourself within a team and understand, as a team member, you want to do what's right. And I think I truly believe that if you don't build it as a team and you don't do it and say that we are responsible to each other, I still think that you're going to lose some of that as well. I truly believe that. I think team building is necessary if you want to.
Yeah, team building. I think that happens with a lot of folks out there. Team building, well, those are tough things to build in a trucking company.
Absolutely.
I ask you, how do you, when drivers are out on the road, and again, different from over the road company than say that LTL side, right?
Agreed.
That over the road, when they don't see each other, they may hear each other.
Correct.
They may get to, like with items like what we do here, see each other, hear each other for the first time ever. Dave, they may build a little team camaraderie on that, but we on the other side, again, I'm going to go back to the trucking company. Boy, we have a lot to do with that. I think there's more. Hate saying the word blame. There's more responsibility that all of us have than what we really we believe. I think we really do have the ability on the office side, on the truck side, of the operation side, of the safety side, of the HR, of the recruiting, to make a bigger impact on these pre-trips and post-trips than I think we really give ourselves credit for. It's if we truly place the value on that, Dave, I don't think it would be a problem for many companies. I don't think it'd be as big of a problem going forward. I think that we as a industry, when you think about that, would gain a ton of productivity back if we weren't sitting on the road for 5 hours waiting on a truck to come and change a tire.
Agreed.
I told that
agree.
to my wife. I said, you think about that, 5 hours on the road at 60 miles an hour, it's 300 miles at 60 cents. It's $180 that driver just lost. And maybe, perhaps, by somebody not doing a pre or post trip. The miles, that's another load now, Dave, that's not going to get delivered for that trucking company. That's another load that this driver's now not going to, he or she may have to stay under that for another day. We behind the scenes, we in the office staff, we as a operations dispatcher, anything outside the drivers, we have as big of a role in that pre and post trip. We have a big of a role as the drivers do in making sure that happens. We can put processes into place to ensure that it happens. We can do that. We just have to have that want and understand the gain in productivity that we'll bring to you. Drive safe, Dave. You want to close this out with a prayer, bud?
Dear Heavenly Father, we gather before you today to ask for your grace in all things. Father, we come before you to ask for you to help us today to be better, to do better, and to know what is better in our lives so that we can affect change. Father, we also ask that you watch over us, keep us protected, keep us safe, and keep us mindful of what we do and the decisions that we make out there, whether on the road or within the company. Father, we also ask that you heal those that need it today and comfort those that may be sick or not doing well. We also ask, Father, that you help us today to be a blessing upon somebody else's life. We ask all these things in your name we pray. Amen. All right, everybody, have a great and wonderful day. We will see y'all tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock, and be safe.